Hi friends, my name is Leslie. I'm a Dominican living in Poland, and today we're going to be talking about the different divisions of the Polish map through the years. The other day, I was just scrolling Facebook when I saw this map of the different partitions of Poland through the years, and I said, you know what? That's a video waiting to be made. And that's why we are here. Our story begins in the 10th century with Mieszko I, the first historical ruler of Poland. Before his reign, the region was a mosaic of Slavic tribes, each with a distinct custom and belief. Life was mostly agrarian, with communities centered around fortified settlements called grodziska. These early Poles engaged in farming, hunting, and trade, often interacting with neighboring tribes and foreign merchants. In 1966, Mieszko I made a pivotal decision. He converted to Christianity, aligning Poland with the Western Christendom. This move brought profound changes. The introduction of Christianity led to the establishment of the dioceses and the construction of churches, influencing not only their religious practices but also education and governance. The Christianization process gradually transformed societal structures, introducing new legal systems and cultural norms. Following Mieszko's death, his son, Bolesław I Chrobry, ascended to the throne. His reign marked a period of territorial expansion and consolidation. Under Bolesław, Poland's borders reached their zenith. The integration of various regions brought economic prosperity as new trade routes opened and urban centers flourished. This amalgamation of different cultures enriched the Polish society, introducing new crafts, culinary tradition, and artistic influences. However, the unity achieved under Bolesław was not to last. The subsequent centuries saw internal divisions, with the kingdom fragmented into smaller duchies ruled by various members of the Piast family. This fragmentation led to political instability and a weakened central authority. Life during this period varied significantly across the regions. In the more prosperous duchies, the urban centers were flourishing, with markets bustling and artisans honing their crafts. In contrast, the border regions experienced frequent conflicts, leading to fortified settlements and a focus on a military readiness. The lack of a centralized governance meant that the local customs and laws prevailed, which meant that everything was like a patchwork of traditions and practices. In the early 14th century, Władysław Łokietek emerged as a unifying force. Through strategic alliances and military campaigns, he reasserted control over the fragmented territories, culminating in his coronation as the King of Poland in 1320. Life during Władysław's reign saw efforts to strengthen the monarchy and centralize the authority. The economic activities flourished as stability returned, with a renewed focus on agriculture, trade, and urban development. The re-establishment of an unified Polish state laid the foundation for future prosperity. The union with Lithuania in 1569 created the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, a state unparalleled in size and diversity, stretching from the Baltic to the Black Sea. It encompassed various ethnicities including the Poles, Lithuanians, Ukrainians, and Belarusians. Daily life in the Commonwealth was rich and varied. The nobles enjoyed significant political power, engaging in a unique system of golden liberty, where the decisions were made through consensus. The middle class was thriving in the urban centers, contributing to a flourishing cultural scene, and the peasants worked the lands, often under the system of serfdom, while the artisans and merchants drove the economic growth. The Commonwealth became a beacon of religious tolerance, attracting scholars and craftsmen from across Europe. By the late 18th century, however, the Commonwealth's internal divisions and external pressures led to its eventual partitioning by the neighboring powers: Russia, Prussia, and Austria. Over three partitions, Poland disappeared from the map, and its people faced a foreign rule. Under foreign dominion, the Poles faced a significant challenge. The imposition of foreign laws and suppression of the Polish culture were met with resistance. Despite these hardships, the Poles maintained their identity through underground education, cultural preservation, and the occasional uprising. Life was marked by a struggle for autonomy and the preservation of the national consciousness. If you remember when we did the video about Marie Skłodowska-Curie, This is the time when she grew up, and this is why she was so tied to her Polish identity. The conclusion of the First World War brought an end to the partitioning powers, and in 1918, Poland regained its independence as the Second Polish Republic. This moment was a beacon of hope. But it wasn't without its challenges. The newly formed Poland faced the daunting task of rebuilding itself after over a century of foreign rule. The borders were still contested, particularly with its neighbors, leading to conflicts like the Polish-Soviet War of 1919 to 1921. Life during the interwar period was a mix of optimism and hardship. While many Poles were so happy that they could finally be independent again, the country was economically strained and rebuilding infrastructure, industry, and governance was a big task. Cities like Warsaw and Krakow began to modernize, and a strong sense of the national pride permeated the society. But still, the rural areas were struggling with poverty, and political divisions became increasingly pronounced as Poland's young democracy was trying to find its way. Then, when they finally thought that things were going to be okay, the Second World War brought unimaginable suffering to Poland. In September 1939, the country was invaded by both Nazi Germany from the west and the Soviet Union from the east, in a brutal attack that led to Poland being wiped off the map once more. Poland became the epicenter of some of the worst atrocities of the war, with millions of Poles, both Jews and non-Jews, losing their lives during the Holocaust and the occupation. Many Poles joined the underground movements such as the Home Army or Armia Krajowa, organizing uprisings and sabotaging the occupiers. In the cities, there were frequent food shortages, mass deportations, and harsh reprisals for any form of dissent. The rural areas were often subjected to brutal reprisals for any support that they provided to the resistance. Despite these horrors, the Polish culture, language, and identity were fiercely preserved in secret, often at a great personal risk. At the end of the Second World War, Poland found itself under the Soviet control, and its borders were once again redrawn, this time shifting westwards to include formerly German territories. The Polish People's Republic was established as a Soviet satellite, with a communist government installed in Warsaw. Life in post-war Poland was marked by both reconstruction and repression. While the country was slowly rebuilding the cities, especially Warsaw, which had been almost entirely destroyed, the communist regime imposed strict control over the political life. Many who had fought for Poland's freedom found themselves persecuted by the new government, and the economy was centrally planned, leading to inefficiencies and shortages of basic goods. Still, the Poles found a way to resist, with worker strikes and uprisings, and the eventual rise of the Solidarity movement in the 1980s set the stage for Poland's return to democracy. Today, Poland is a proud, independent nation, once again. After decades of the Soviet rule, the 1989 fall of the communism ushered in a new era of democracy and economic growth. Poland joined the European Union in 2004, becoming one of the most dynamic member states. The Polish people's centuries-long struggle for autonomy and freedom has given rise to a nation that is as resilient as it is hopeful. And that is one of the most inspiring things for me. Every Polish person that I know has a unique story and a unique perspective on the world, but they all strive for freedom. From the people that you meet in Biedronka every day to the people who tell you stories of the war and everything in between. Thank you so much for staying until the end of this video. Remember, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe, drop a comment. If you're Polish, let me know what you think, what did I miss, and I'll see you guys on the next one.